have stumbled upon the Apple Crafts podcast, a podcast about knitting with crochet. And the weather outside today is atrocious. It is the 1st of December, and it is as gloomy as a December day probably should be. So, bad lighting. Nothing I can do about it. Sorry. And it's later in the day. And this is the only day I have the podcast. So, I wanted to get this out because it's been quite a while. 2 weeks, 3 weeks since I've had a video last. So, I've got my Starbucks, which I don't normally get, but I had to go to Target and they have a Starbucks in there and I needed coffee. So, this is caramel praline? No. Cashew praline? I don't remember. Something praline. With some soy milk. And it's pretty good. So today's episode is going to have some finishes. I'll talk about my whips. I don't think I'm going to bring them all out. I do have them over here on my table next to me, but everything's in a big pile on top of the table, so I don't know if I'm going to deal with that today. But they're there. And we have a make-along that will be starting January 1st. So I'll talk about that near the end. And I'm almost to 400 subscribers. Crazy, y'all. Crazy. I'm so excited about that. So let's get started. What am I wearing? I don't wear a lot of knits on here because, you know, even though it's December and the weather is crap outside, I don't wear anything in the house that's sweater related. But I've got, so this t-shirt, if you watched my episode of the history of my channel, I was all over the place, and I think it's somewhere in there I apologize for the atrociousness of that episode because I had no coffee. So my daddy got me this shirt. I'm sorry for what I said before I had my coffee. Yeah, this should be like written over my head. Yeah. Because you think you'd learn. No. Yeah. So, I'm wearing that today. Okay, so, let's start with finishes. Let me have another sip of coffee. This is like my second cup, so I should be okay. Should be okay. Alrighty, podcast basket. I did a Sockhead hat. This yarn, I don't think you could find it anymore, but this is Golden Pearls. And the color is Flirting as Part of My Heritage. And I don't know how well you'll be able to see it, but it's like this beautiful mix of dark browns and gold and dark cream. So I'm going to try to fix the lighting just a little bit. Okay, so hopefully this is better. So yeah, it's like this beautiful mix of dark browns and gold and dark cream. And yeah, this is the third time I think I've made this pattern. I really like it. I have a hard time knitting hats and making them feel right on my head, but the Sockhead pattern, oh, did I write down who it's by? Yes, Kelly McClure, and it's a free pattern on Ravelry. It's a really well written pattern, and I've had 100% success with it every single time. So this was a single ply yarn, and so I held it double to get a DK weight, and I did an extra long brim so that I could tie it or whip stitch it on the inside so it's folded in. And I made it long enough so that it'll cover my ears down to about here for the winter. And yeah, I love this pattern. What else can I say about this? I still have a lot of this yarn left. I'm telling you, when I saw this colorway back in 2018, I bought all of it. All of it. And still, I have this yarn. It's almost gone, but I have enough for another project. Maybe enough for At least enough for another hat. I don't think I'm going to do that. I may end up throwing it into a shawl or something. Or ooh, socks. I might make socks with them because they are not single ply. As I bought every base too. I'm pretty sure I have it right over here. So I had made a sweater, or not a sweater, a tank top a few years back, and it just didn't work out. So I've just been unraveling it and using it. So this is a high twist. So I don't know if it's 8515 merino or if it's just a high twist merino, but I have all this left. So this is enough to do socks and then still have some left over. Yeah, I have a lot of it. So it'll get made into something. We'll see. All right, and then my next finish. Oh, stop. What are you doing? Oh my God. I almost pulled a needle out of a project. That would have been bad. The thing I made after that, I made another hat, and I think I made both these hats at the same time. So this is the Claudia hat. My hair's a mess, so I'll try it on. I'll put it on for you. Because it's an interesting detail. It kind of looks like, I get cathedral vibes with this pattern. So I don't like the top part. It kind of does one of those weird poofy things at the top that I'm not really excited about. So I have to push it really, really far to get that to go away. That's my hair. But otherwise, you know, it's enough to cover my ears. And it's a cool pattern. And I don't know if you'll be able to, I don't think you'll be able to tell. What it does, the decreases, how can I show you? Can you see that? Like it's on an angle, those decreases. So, and then it does that at the crown. My numbers were a little bit off, so there's one section that's more narrow than the other, but otherwise, you know, it's a pretty good pattern. I don't remember, I think this was free too. And it's the Claudia Hat by MJ Kim. And the yarn I used is Helio by Dale Garn. And it's a sport weight, which is part of the reason why my numbers are a little bit off, because I think the pattern is for worsted weight. Pretty sure. No, it's for DK. And sport weight is a little bit lighter than DK. So I used a whole ball and then like part of a second ball. And this just says it's 100% Norwegian wool. So, and these are 100-meter skeins. So yeah, it's really good wool. It's comfortable. I wouldn't say it's soft. It's not rustic either. It's like happily in the middle. But I'm also noticing for me in my knitting that when I knit anything that's with soft yarn, it pills really bad. Either I'm just that hard wearing with them, or I don't know, something about me and soft wool, it's not a good combination. I think that's why I lean more toward Polworth and Blue Face Leicester, because they're hardier and the pilling is less, but it's still comfortable on my skin. This is comfortable on my skin, and I don't think it'll pill that bad. And it's a hat. How much pilling do you get on a hat? I don't get a lot on a hat. So that's all I have to say about that. I should probably tell you what the needles I used. So for the Sockhead hat, I used the US 4. Almost everything that I do with DK that I want tight knit would be on a 4, US 4. And I believe this was on a US 4 as well. I have 2 pairs of socks that I finished. from Charlotte Stone's book, that was Charming Colorwork Socks or something like that. So I've been talking about the coffee break socks. Finally finished them. So here we go, coffee break. And I'll try to get close so you can see it. I use glitter yarn. So the light color is Pink Champagne on Ice. That is mine. I might bring it back one day, but today's not that day. Yeah, you're not gonna be able to see the sparkle on that. You might be able to see the sparkle on the coffee, on the brown now. So the brown, I don't have the tag, but that was that's not my color. Do I have the tag? I have the tag. It's from Yarn Love. And it is sterling silk and silver, so 63% superwash merino, 20% silk, 15% nylon, and 2% silver. I'm assuming that's silver stellina. And the colorway is Turtle Candy. And I got this yarn. Come on. There we go. I got this yarn at Smart Art Supply in Nashville. So it's marked down to half. So, yeah, so I don't know if you could really pick up on the sparkle on that. So, I had to do the chart. Did I do the chart twice? No, that's the other pair of socks. I got a story about the other pair of socks. So, these are ready to go. I did an afterthought heel. There is a short row heel that's in the pattern. That short row heel and my brain don't compute, so I just do an afterthought heel and it's fine. So I did size 2 in the pattern, and since this is fingering weight, I do all that on a 2.75 millimeter US 2. So these are going to go in my box of socks to be used at a future date. And then I did another pair of socks in DK weight. I have old shop stash that I now use for giveaways or whatever, and I decided I was going to use some of that yarn. So they're all 20-gram cakes, and I thought it was going to be enough to do socks because I was using 1, 2, 4 colors. It wasn't, so I had to seriously heavily modify. What I wanted to do was take a pair of the socks that were in that book and make them Christmassy, which is another reason why I went to DK, because it'll go faster. So I found I think they're called the Forest Walk socks that are in that book, and they're mushrooms. So I just made the mushrooms green so that, you know, they look like Christmas trees, and then like the little white spots on the mushrooms, I used pink yarn to kind of make them look like ornaments, you know. So I found out pretty early on that I was going to have to heavily modify this sock. So starting here is when I was like, oh, I am not going to have enough of this spring, Summer Love color, which used to be, it's discontinued. But the Summer Love color, I was not going to have enough of that. So then I did this big chunk of green, I did some blue stripes, did a green afterthought heel, went back to the pattern, and then I had to shorten this pattern, and then this part here, these little blue blips, I added into the pattern just to try to have enough of this white multicolor speckly Summer Love color just to get to the Latvian braid at the top. Okay, so that was problem number 1. I had to modify. Okay, whatever, right? So I get halfway through the motif, and I'm like, this looks really, really tight. And it was. I couldn't even get my foot through the door, basically. So I had to rip all of that back and then do it all over again. And then I had to shorten the motif up here just so I had enough of this background color to finish and get to the Latvian braid. But it's done. I'll give you a close-up. So you can't really tell, but this is the pink part. And honestly, I was gonna duplicate stitch that that background color in between the trees, but I'm like, you know what? You can't really tell that there's pink in there. Oh, look, cat hair. Whatever. All right. So you can't really tell. So I was like, you know what? Whatever. I'm just gonna leave it alone. So yeah. I mean, overall, now they fit and they're good. Overall, it's fine. I am gonna wear them for Christmas. They're a little bit shorter than I would like, but it is what it is, and I can always make another pair. It's not like it's hard, especially when it's just a motif and the rest of it's just, you know, stockinette or just knit stitches. So that makes it easy too. So I think I got these. I finished these in a week and a half or something like that. Same thing with the coffee break socks. I knit these on a US 4. All my DK socks are always on a US 4. And I know I've given my recipe for vanilla socks, which is basically what I'm doing with the fingering weight. It's the same recipe because you're not making any changes till you get up here. So I've since changed my recipe on the vanilla socks or anything that doesn't have any patterning. I'm doing 62 stitches now instead of 60, just to see how it feels, and it feels okay. It's not too loose. I know 64 is too loose, so I don't think I'm ever going to go higher than a 62 stitch all the way around. And I knit up to 6 3/4 inches. I don't measure by row because my tension is not always consistent, so I always go by measurement instead. And then I decide at that point if I'm going to do a short row heel or an afterthought heel. And then once I get to the part where the motif is, that's when I drastically increase my stitches to get to the stitch count that I need for the motif. And so my recipe for DK socks is 30 stitches. Was it 60? No. 24? 48? I think it's 48 stitches. I don't do DK socks a lot. Is that right? Let's talk about this Latvian braid. So this is the first time doing a Latvian braid for me. I think it came out okay for my first time. It's seriously easy. It looks like it's the difficult thing to do, but it's really not. It's so easy. The only thing that is annoying is because of the way you have to do the Latvian braid, you have to let your yarns twist for what you're doing, because the next row after that, they're going to untwist from the way you do it. And if I remember correctly, it was knit a row, and then it was purl, knit, and then knit, purl, something like that. And that's how I end up twisting and then untwisting. So you have to let it twist, which is annoying because like at some point you start having not enough room and you're trying to manage getting enough to get your fingers around the yarn so you can do the stitches. But it's pretty. So now I want to put Latvian braids on everything. And I'm actually I'm going to start a pair of gloves. Maybe this weekend I'll start a pair of gloves. Just a simple pair, and I think I might put a Latvian braid in that, just for kicks. We'll see. So that's all I have for finishes. What do I have for works in progress? So, I'm not going to lug it, but that blanket, you've seen it all year. If you've been here before, you have seen that blanket all year long. I am down to knitting the last square, and it looks like I'm knitting the last square because it looks like a hot mess, and at this point I just don't care. As long as it measures 14 by 14 inches, I don't care. And I have 2 squares left. So the one I'm knitting, I have to stitch into the blanket, and I have this one to stitch into the blanket. And I showed this one last podcast. I think I showed it before it was blocked. So this is blocked and wrinkled, but it's ready to go. So next podcast, you'll see a finished blanket. Hallelujah! I'm so done with this blanket. You have no idea. I will say though, you know, as far as knit blankets go, it wasn't a bad project. It just took all year, literally. So I just have to keep that in mind. If I'm doing a knit blanket, it's probably going to take me a year, and I need to give myself a year at least to know that whether or not it's going to be done. I'm working on my cardigan, which is right here. Let's see if I can show it without messing it up. So I've got good length on it now. Actually, I could probably try it on for you. I don't see why not. So this is All of the Lights by Joji Locatelli, and this is in my dark unicorn colorway that I just made a couple months ago, August, September. This particular base is Blue Face Leicester, DK, and there is a modification on here, and it was totally by accident, but I decided to go with it for a design feature because it just makes my life easier. So there's like this portion here that's stockinette, and it's supposed to be texture stitches, and I didn't realize it until I was 4 inches into the thing, and I was like, you know what, I'm not ripping it out. Design feature. So yeah, so let me try it on for you. It's about a third of the way of my body, because I want to have it like down here. So I want a long cardigan. So this is where I'm at right now. And it's super comfy. I had to modify the arms. So when I got to this point, before joining, I read to see how the pattern was coming together for the body, because I always have to modify for my arms. It's just the way it is. You can write a pattern for any size you want on the freaking planet. I'm gonna have to modify for my arms. That's just the way it is. So what I did was I lengthened, yeah, because you have to connect it here. So I had to lengthen down here and here and in the back before I could put it all together for the body. So I had to lengthen it by two or 3 inches to get the armhole right. Because when I start picking up for the armhole, it's going to tighten up a little bit. So I wanted to make sure I had enough room. And I mean, and the arm isn't blocked yet either. So after I block it, I'll have room again. So, so that's what's going on there. But so far, I love it. I love it, love it. Joji Locatelli makes really great cardigan patterns. So if you're looking for a cardigan pattern, I highly recommend her. You do need to read through. Make sure you understand everything before you do it. I'm not new to garment knitting, and sometimes I'm just like, huh? And I do find, I have a desktop computer, and for me, I find that I need to have both. Like, I need to duplicate the pattern, so I've got it on 2 different tabs. So I have one with the written instructions of like what's going on, and then the cable patterns, until I know what I'm doing. And like right now, it's just the same thing over and over again, so I don't have to look at one of the tabs. I'm just focusing on the cable right now, but once I start getting to like pockets and this, that, and the other, I'm gonna have to look at both tabs again. So that makes it easier for me on a desktop. If you don't have a desktop, I don't know what you would do for that, because I've never been in that situation. So if you're someone who doesn't have a desktop computer and you do that kind of stuff, write in the comments what you do so that you can help out somebody else, because that's not something I can help somebody with. What else am I working on? I think I've got my 10 stitch blanket. I will put a picture of that over here because it's way over there and I don't want to get it right now. I am down to my last 2 cakes of yarn for that. It's ice blue, like different shades of blue that I'm doing for the last parts of that blanket, just to use up my Karen cakes that I've had for years. And I'm working on, excuse me, I'm working on I Heart socks. I don't remember the name of it. I'll write it down here. But it's in that Charlotte Stone book. So it's just colorwork socks all the way through, and they're hearts. And so I'm doing size 2 on that too. I have not tried them on yet. I'm just past the ball of the foot, so I'm probably going to try them on in the next day or two. Make sure that it fits right, because I've never done an all over colorwork sock. So I want to make sure I have that right before I get too invested and the whole sock doesn't fit. Yeah, so it's December. Am I doing Vlogmas? No. I don't even know if I'll be able to go to Opry this year. I would like to, and show you guys the Christmas lights. But I just started my job. I've worked there for a week now. Still trying to get acclimated, because I haven't worked for somebody in a very long time. And I haven't done that type of physical labor in a very long time. So I'm beat. And Christmas is not a very easy time for me either. I don't even know if I'm really going to be decorating this year, to tell you the truth. So instead of being depressing and not really showing you anything, I think I'm just going to stick to having a podcast up. But what I want to do, trying to work around my work schedule, is do like this mashup of part traditional podcast and part vlog. So what that would mean is, instead of me having a sit down where I'm talking to you, it's going to be, oh, hey, I just finished this and I'm sitting at my desk, so I'm just going to film it and show you, and then just put it all together. But it's not going to be a good morning, today's blah, blah, blah. Good morning, today's blah, blah, blah. Good night, see you tomorrow. I'm not going to do any of that. I'm just going to try to, we'll see how it goes. If it doesn't work, then I'll go back to this. It's all good. What else? Yeah, so if you like Vlogmas, enjoy all the Vlogmases out there. I'll be watching them too. Okay, make along. If you're new here, Chrissy from Knitting in the Heights and I are going to do a make along starting January 1st, and it's going to end March 30th. And it's going to be called CYO Adventure, Choose Your Own Adventure Mal. I'll put the hashtag down here. And it's 4 different categories, and you can mix and match any way you want, as long as they're in those categories. You're good to go. Whips, stash, so anything that's been in your stash, your yarn stash, for over a year. 1,200 yards, so what is that in meters? I don't know, 1,000 meters? Is that right? I'm American, what do you want from me? Okay, and projects on Ravelry that are under 20 projects that are posted. So you can mix and match from that. I'm handling the Instagram side, so the hashtag is already up. So that way it's been claimed, so to speak. And so we can get that started January 1st. And Chrissy's going to do her choose prizes, and there's a chatter thread, and there's going to be a finished object thread in her group, Knittin in the Heights, and I'll link all that below, and you'll find that on Ravelry. So she's going to choose from there. I'm going to choose from Instagram. So you have a couple different places to go, and you've got 4 different categories to choose from. If you do more than one category, that gives you more than one chance to enter for a prize. So if you do, for instance, my log cabin blanket would be a stash buster, and it would be over 1,200 yards. So it fit into 2 entries, basically. My blanket that I've been working on all year, as an example, would be a stash buster and a whip and over 1,200 yards. So that would be 3 categories. I already put a post over in the Ravelry group of some ideas for each category, both crochet and knitting. And as time goes on, I'm going to also give you some ideas here on the podcast for each category as well. But yeah, so please join in on the fun. That would be awesome. It'll be amazing. This will be my first time doing a make along, so I would love it if you joined. And the prizes are going to be awesome. Just saying. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Yeah. Oh, did I say what my new job was? I'm a baker. I used to be a baker in my former life, and I've gone back to baking. Yeah. So I like it. I miss it. I think bakery work is a lot like restaurant work, and if you've ever done either one, then you know it's either in your blood or it's not. And baking is in my blood. I've been baking my whole life. And being away from it for a very long time, you know, it's amazing to me just how fast I picked it right back up. It took me 6 days before my brain started doing baker's math between ovens and proofing times and all that stuff. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. So it's been fun. I have to say, it's been fun. And right now it's part-time hours, which is fine with me for the most part. So because I need to get acclimated to being on my feet a long time again. So yeah, so that's what's going on with that. I think that's it. So I will see you either next week or the week after that. And then after that, I don't know what my schedule's gonna look like, so we'll see. But enjoy your holiday season, and I'll talk to you later. All right, bye.